There it is, there it is. I'm on a running break. Cheers, everybody. Just recording in the studio today. I've been wanting to make this vlog for a long time. Hoka versus Salomon versus Inov-8. And what about Nike, all right? So we'll break it down today. And yes, there are some lawnmowers outside the studio right now. So if you hear something in the background, some noise, that's what that is. All right, here we go. Time to do battle. We got the shoes right here. Again, Salomon right here, two Inov-8s in the middle, and then Hoka on top. Also, Terra Kiger 6 over there on the shelf. And you know what? We're gonna dive into the question of the day right now. Who do you consider, or what company do you consider that makes the best trail racing shoes on the marketplace? Everywhere, think of all the companies around the world, and all the trail racers out there. Now, it depends a little bit on distance, I will say that much. But in general, if you could only pick one company that makes the best trail racing, and obviously there's different terrains out there as well, but you can only pick one, let us know down in the comments. Cannot wait to hear your answers to this QD. Now, like many of you, I love competition, whether it's in sport or, yes, frankly, in business, okay? So in sport, like 2 days ago at the Kendall Mountain Run, like it just was, there's nothing like showing up at a starting line with like-minded people who want to go out there, seek out the pain cave a little bit, and push themselves literally up a mountain. But yes, also in product design, like we runners benefit immensely by the competition amongst all these running shoe companies to put out the best product on the marketplace. But I do regret that I'm not able to train in all the brands out there, and even in the trail, specifically the trail racing shoe category. First of all, you know, when races are happening, you can only run so many races in a given year. You can do FKT work, of course. But for example, Saucony, New Balance, and Adidas. Those are the three companies that I just regret not being able to test out in the trail racing shoe department. Someday, but at this point I have not been able to work them in to the running shoe rotation. Now, who out there remembers the shoe that I chose to race in for the Pikes Peak Ascent in 2019? That's right, there it is, the Salomon S Lab Scent 7 SG. So if you've been watching the channel a long time, you know I'm kind of a Salomon fanboy. Like, I love Salomon. Like, they were my go-to shoe in 2019. But something's happened, okay? Something's happened big time in 2020. I thought for sure, actually here it is right now, let's get into it. The Salomon S Lab Sense 8 SG would frankly be my go-to trail racing shoe of this season and FKT work here in the Rocky Mountains. But then along comes the Hoka Evo Jaws, which I realize this is a 2019 shoe, but again, it didn't work its way into the rotation in 2019 because I was so focused on Salomon. But here's the Hoka Evo Jaws. But then, out of the blue, from somewhere, I don't even know, oh my goodness, dun, 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 onto the scene comes the Inov-8 lineup. All right, here we go. The orange shoe is the Inov-8 X Talon G235s, and here is the Inov-8 X Talon G210s. All right, so two shoes from Inov-8 that frankly have surprised me, shocked me in 2020. Now, before I break down all the shoes for you, I just have to put them on the scale just to remind myself of the weights. Salomon shoes, 6.7. Hoka Evo Jaws, 6.3. Inov-8 X Talon G235 is 6.8, so the heaviest out of these three so far. But then also from Inov-8, another trail racing shoe is coming in, I believe, at 6.3, right around 6.3, 6.4, okay? So very similar to the Hoka Evo Jaws. And here comes the Nike question. What about the Terra Kiger 6? All right, the trail racing shoe from Nike that a lot of people actually are racing in these days, including my brother actually, coming in at 8.7. Now, a tweet did come in today from Tim. Shout out to Tim. He asked a question. I'm currently training for a 50K in September and using the Hoka Torrents. I wanted to see what you recommend for a good trail shoe for the upcoming race. Currently thinking Hoka Speed Goat or Nike, I think Pegasus Trail 2. So here we go, Tim, and this is what I tweeted back to him. I said, depends on the course. So same with all these shoes I'm talking about. It really, like, road racing is road racing, right? It's like you're on roads, and most roads are similar surface quality levels, I'll say. But on the trails, you've got the vertical to deal with. You've got the rocks to deal with. Creek crossings or not. There's a lot of different variables that go into choosing your trail racing shoes. Now here we go. Let's get into the battle. Hoka versus Salomon versus Inov-8, keeping in mind kind of what we talked about in yesterday's vlog, where I recapped the last training block and why I think I'm running faster in 2020. So we've been doing a lot of training, a lot of FKT work, not much racing. All right, 2 days ago, did manage to sneak into one race for 2020, which was exciting. But let's break it down. First of all, let's actually start with Salomon first, the Salomon S Lab Sense 8 SG. Okay, and all these shoes I am putting into that aggressive, faster racing. So that means I would not use these shoes for, it's borderline with the Evo Jaws from Hoka, but I would not use these shoes most likely for, let's say, a 50K. That distance is just a little too far, I think, for all of these shoes, okay? So here we go. Salomon S Lab Sense 8 SG. It is a little firmer ride, a little narrower fit compared to the other shoes. Also Salomon, I'm not sure if I love this gator design. The reason they put this gator on, its built-in gator, is this is the SG version, so soft ground, which means Salomon thinks that you're going to be using this shoe in difficult conditions, muddy conditions, possibly very wet conditions, and they want to help you keep as much of the grime and grit and rocks and pebbles out of your shoe as possible, which is why they put this gator on, new for 2020. I'm not loving the feel of it, honestly. Like, I rarely have trouble with rocks or pebbles getting in my shoes. But if you do, maybe this could be an option for you. So overall, a firm ride, 6mm lug depth on the outsole. This is critical to note, 6mm lug depth, okay? That's my just very basic assessment thus far of the Salomon S Lab Sense 8 SG. I will say the upper, very breathable. I did like the upper a lot. Okay, moving on now to the Hoka Evo Jaws. Here we go. So a wider fit, absolutely, compared to Salomon, and a softer landing 100% through this midsole, okay? Their Pro Fly midsole on the Evo Jaws. Again, a 2019 shoe. Solid lockdown through the upper. Very comfortable. I enjoyed the lockdown on the top of the foot more so than in the Salomon S Lab Sense 8 SG. Now here is where the battle really starts to heat up. I thought for sure Salomon was going to be the go-to shoe for my FKT work in early June. But then I was like, wait a minute. I did not test out the Evo Jaws from Hoka in 2019, and I was like, oh my goodness. For all of you, I gotta test this Evo. I had pretty low expectations, frankly, compared to the Sense 8. So I picked it up, got the Evo Jaws, and sure enough, it became more of a favorite, so much so that I used this for the FKT work on, what was it? It was Yale, Belford, Huron with Joseph, and then also Long's Peak. This was my go-to for the FKTs. So it immediately, basically the ride was just a little softer and a little more comfortable. And I thought, even though, so this is crazy, 6mm lug depth, but for some reason, I thought the Evo Jaws was getting better bite into the mountain. I'm always talking about bite when you're ascending these big mountains or wherever you live. If you want to bite the mountain, I found the Evo Jaws to be better than the Salomon shoe. But here's a major drawback. After 4 FKT attempts, the durability is struggling. Literally lugs on the bottom falling off. Not wearing, you know how you can wear off lugs, like wear them down over time? Literally, now I'm running on some pretty aggressive trails, but lugs being like torn off. It's probably on the descending down the mountains. Also, some pretty, some issues with the upper durability as well already some very small little holes. And this is only, here's the mileage on your shoe. I think it's maybe around 90 or 100 miles, so not that much. Granted, I realize it's a racing shoe, so the life expectancy of the shoe shouldn't be that high. But anyway, major issues with durability with the Evo Jaws, even though the bite is amazing. But then stop the presses, ladies and gentlemen, out of the blue. I didn't forget about, and I do apologize, everyone in the UK. I didn't forget about you and forget about Inov-8, this company over in the UK. But frankly, they just didn't work their way into the rotation until I think it was mid-June or late June with the X Talon 230. I was on the fence. I was literally sitting in my car at the base of Mount Elbert when I managed to snag the FKT for the ascent on Mount Elbert. But sure enough, I decided to go with the X Talon 235, and I could not have been more impressed with this shoe. Now, one little drawback of the 235, I felt like the upper was a little stiff, needed a little break-in time, and now it is definitely broken in. Now the 210, much more nimble. I love this upper on the 210 much more. A little bit of wear and tear already in the 210. There's not too much mileage in this shoe yet, probably about 20 miles so far. And basically though, the reason the Inov-8 lineup is going to win winner chicken dinner thus far in 2020 for my trail racing shoe battle is because of the bite, of course. 8mm lug depth. 8mm lug depth. That is what I'm talking about. I'm telling you guys, like biting the mountain on the way up the mountain and also on the way down the mountain. So much so that maybe I got a little overzealous yesterday or 2 days ago at the Kendall Mountain Run where I actually tripped and fell because I was running really fast down the mountain, about 5:20 pace and maybe 5:15 pace at certain points, and I did fall. And I'm not blaming it on the grip at all. Like the grip gave me the confidence to go fast down the hill. Now, in conclusion, that is my Hoka versus Salomon versus Inov-8. And yes, Nike's gonna stay over on the shelf, just a little too heavy, but trail racing shoe lineup of early 2020. I'm shocked, everyone. I, again, was all in on Salomon, but here's the deal. Here's the kicker. Will Hoka and Salomon up the lug depth to 9mm or 8mm or 7mm, or no, get crazy and go 10mm. I doubt it, and that's where the line might be drawn at a certain point where you have to ask yourself, what is too much lug depth for aggressive trail racing or FKT work, especially in the year of 2020 with everything going on in the world. I'm shocked, everyone. Tip of the cap to Inov-8. I'm very excited about these. Both of these shoes, frankly. The 210s are lighter, of course, but both of these shoes have proven to be very I'm just going to say useful and very beneficial, I would say, for me chasing down these FKTs this year. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Again, Shoodio day because I'm resting. No running for at least 2 or 3 more days. Just resting the body, recovering from Kendall Mountain. And we'll be back tomorrow. Sound like a plan? Sound like a plan. All right, we're going to toss it back to the trail running shoe matrix from about, 2 weeks ago, where I break down trail training shoes for 2020. Right there. Onward and upward. Seek beauty, work hard, and love each other. See you tomorrow.